All right, y'all. Hey, so one of the cool things about shooting conferences is recognizing the difference between a videographer and then also a director and DP. And so my boy Nas, he talks about this often of, hey, I'm a DP or I'm a first AC or a gaffer. And he asks us all the time, like, hey, is this something or is this a space that we would utilize that? And the truth of the matter is maybe. But at the same breath, for us, we're typically run and gun. And so I will say that when it comes to doing conference videography, the big thing definitely in the corporate space is knowing that you have to make quick decisions. You have to understand light. You have to have mindset of knowing that the client will change the whole setup at a drop of a dime. And I think the other part though is recognizing that while all of that is happening, you still have to provide an amazing product. And that's understanding your camera. And so today, what I want to really just chat with you all briefly about is just the idea of making sure that you're separating your craft and knowing your niche of, can I make decisions? Can I ride into the corporate space and really elevate my business with no matter what size the conference is? Or maybe do I need to scale back? Do I need to ask myself some questions such as, have I spent enough time in the corporate space, maybe shadowing a videographer or shadowing a photographer? Have I spent some time in a fast-paced moving environment like a wedding or maybe a convention or maybe even a festival? All of these things help prepare you, especially in the corporate space. When I'm having a conversation with my boy Nas, the thing that he talks about oftentimes is being on set and the elements and the different moving parts of being on set. And for myself, and a lot of my peers, we have been working solo gigs, 2-3 person gigs, and we didn't have all those things. We didn't have a gaffer. We didn't have a director. We were the director. We were the gaffer. And a lot of you are just like that when it comes to business. You are the accountant. You're the photographer. You're the videographer. You're the marketer. You're doing all these things. And so when I am looking at this entire concept of separating the two, I'm also looking at it from the level of, am I equipped? And so when we look at doing this, I want you to ask yourself this question: have I proved myself enough to where I can make fast decisions? And the way you do that is really looking at your business model and saying, hey, I have been in a space to where I've done X. This is like looking at your resume. I have worked with this type of client. I've done this and I've done that. A lot of times, and you guys have heard me say this, shooting weddings isn't a bad thing. I think a lot of people before they get into corporate should start in weddings. Why? Because that's where you learn how to get the shot. That's where you learn how to make sure you don't miss the shot. That's where pretty much you put it all on the line. You can't recreate love. In the corporate space, somebody's always going to be talking. Now, you may miss some key moments, but the client just wants good, clean, crisp environments. They want good, clean, crisp photos. They want good, clean, crisp video. When it comes to being on set, like a videography, doing a video set, whether you're doing a production or something, guess what? You have control of that environment. You have other people that's helping make sure that that environment is clear. When we're doing video work in the corporate space, sometimes it's random. Sometimes, for example, even in the conference that we're shooting today, we are looking at the environment saying, how do I make this work? I would look at the corporate space of saying, for example, you walk into an environment and they have poured out a bunch of Legos and they say, make a masterpiece. That's the best way that I would describe this. And if you're not a creative in that environment, in that element, then you may have to ask yourself, what does it take to get there? And so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna give you at least 2 to 3 steps on how to get there. First and foremost, start small. Don't go after the big bag right away. You need to start in a space that you're comfortable in, whether that is maybe a 1K, a 2K, a 3K, a 4K race. Then you go into the next space of possibly looking at a small event of maybe 50 to 100 people. And then you say, hey, you know what? I love working with this company. Now let me scale myself and say, hey, can I do headshots for you all? And I want to shoot for your entire office. And you may not charge them a lot, but what you're going to do is get into a space to where you're comfortable in practicing. But then on the other side, you got to get on the production side of the space too. Meaning you have to get in a space that's controlled so that you're able to say, I like this or I don't like this. Oftentimes in the production space, you got to recognize, can I follow directions? Can I be able to see something but hold my opinion? If that's not you, then that may not be your space. What I've learned from working with my boy Nas, what I've learned from watching a lot of other DPs and a lot of directors are, they recognize and they adopt a same principle that we do in our corporate businesses, but they utilize it differently. It is a whole lot more of community environment in both elements, but I would say they have different faces in different suits. And so it's almost like how Steve Harvey said, you know, every person needs to have a black suit, a blue suit, a brown suit. That's the same thing when it comes to being able to look at yourself and look at your business and say, am I a corporate videographer, corporate cinematographer, I don't care what the name is, or am I set for a production set videographer? Am I set for being a director? Am I set for being a gaffer? And any of those positions doesn't mean it's less than and that you're not good. All it's saying is that you just know what you like. And so I want you all to kind of think about this and say, how do I make sure that as I'm on my corporate hunt, as I'm on my corporate journey, I'm not just running based on what Desmond says or what my boy Corporate JT says or what my boy Jaron says, but I'm building my business based on what I'm good at, what I like, what I want to do. And sometimes you may want to do what we do. Trust me, I want you to do what I get to do. It's a blessing, but you may not be built for it. And I want to be the one to tell you that today, just so that you know that, hey, I may need to shadow someone. I may need to do 2 or 3, maybe 4, maybe 5 gigs before I ever start doing photos, even just for portraits or models. I shadowed a photographer for almost 6 to 7 months before I ever accepted a single dollar. That is part of the process. And so what I show you, you guys just saw the video a couple weeks ago of my headshot station and how people loved it, and I shot over 800 people. It took time to get there. When you look at our websites and you look at the videos, it took time to get there. We've been shooting weddings for years before this. Before we were shooting weddings, we were shooting birthday parties. Before we were shooting birthday parties, we were shooting our aunt's birthday party or our aunt's small event, her tea party. So you got to understand, it's levels even when it comes to I'm going to be whatever that is. I'm going to be a corporate videographer. I'm going to be a wedding videographer. I'm going to be whatever that looks like for you. Just know that you have to make that decision. Don't go with the trend, because going with the trend will set you up for failure. So this is all I got for you guys today. I just really wanted to drop this because we were talking about it while we were at conference, and I love him. I love the kid. I love who he is because he really inspires me, definitely when it comes to the experience that he has had on the production side. And while I've had production experience, we have experienced it differently. And that has been the thing that I think has drawn us even within a community together, because he brings an element that we do not usually see. Because our corporate clients, whether that's a Toyota, whether that is a cancer company, whether that is who you name it, you think of, a health professional, they don't typically look at it from, yeah, you need 5 people on set. They're like, yeah, we have a budget for 2 people, 1 for a photographer, 1 for a videographer. Yeah, we have a budget for this or that. And we have to typically say what we're going to do and make that decision accordingly. And so with that being said, hey, I want you all to really think through, what are you today? And then where do you want to go?
All right, so to add to what Desmond said, he's 100% telling the truth. What I would tell you guys who are looking to start your corporate photo video journey is to shadow somebody. I am a complete corporate DP. I do corporate commercials, and I've been in the narrative world and corporate for a long time. And my shadow for videography, because that is 2 different things, was weddings. I had never been with somebody who run and gun like weddings were. And I did it for a year, and then happened to fall in the lives of JT and Desmond. And now that we run around and we shoot and it's still video production, it's just not the same as what I did before. But that's not bad. You can mix both these bags and you can bring a high, what we call production value, to your run and gun sets. You just have to know how to do it. One thing about videographers is because they run around so much, they forget that production quality can be extremely high with just a little bit of extra time. So that's kind of the things I talk about with Desmond and JT all the time. Sometimes JT's like, man, we just gonna shoot. Yeah, but did we sit down and figure out what the look was before, you know, we started shooting, or we just kind of walking in and just looking? Sometimes we need to walk around, we need to do a quick site visit. Maybe we should set up the interview the day before we get there when we got some free time, because that production value will make your corporate clients go, man, that looks better than the person I hired before, because they might have just been a basic package person. And I think that is what a lot of people don't understand about when you have a 10-man crew versus a 100-man crew versus a single-man crew. Production value plays a big factor factor in how you get your final image. So you can be a single man crew or a 4-man crew like we are all the time, but we sit down sometime and we figure out where's the site, what are we trying to get into, you know, and how do we get these specific looks. So don't just follow somebody because they're just talking. Listen, try it out for free. For free is the best. If you can shadow somebody, shadow them, because if I didn't do weddings, I would be so conflicted a lot with how we shoot video production with JT and Desmond, because we move around very fast. Sometimes they just shoot what they need. I'm so used to freelancing, I overshoot because I send it to editors, but they're the editors. So it's just, everything is different, and I had to try it out a couple of times in different scenarios to see if this really fit. And for me, I can fit it, you know, very well, but I want to bring certain production value to my images, to my looks. I want to bring a specific value when it comes to my pre-production, when my interview setup, what focal range I want to use, what camera package do I want to bring, if we need to rent something. Sometimes the client has budget for that. So don't just say, oh yeah, yes to the photo and video. You can do live streaming. You can do extreme cinematic hedge interviews somewhere. You just have to talk to your client, ask them what they're trying to do, and sometimes bring a little bit more production value by just asking, what are you looking to do in the future? And that'll actually help you, you know, be able to break these things down and then see if you can hire somebody to do it, or do it yourself for what you're good at, or hire out somebody that you're not good at something. So I just want to add a little tidbit from my testimony from working with these guys all the time. It's really fun. Y'all make sure y'all keep following my boy Desmond at Delorious Media Group, right?
Corporate Hunt.
Oh, Corporate Hunt. Oh, that's his business. Hey, go get you. What's his website? Delorious Media Group, and go get you some photos and some videos for my boy. But Corporate Hunt, make sure you follow him on YouTube and his Instagram. Follow your boy One Shot Nas for more information on this. We do a lot of DP freelance documentary video, and we also talk about how to get this money in corporate photo and video in these conferences. So y'all tap in, and that's all we got for today, bro. Peace.